JBN, we keep you informed. Gun and ammunition seized in Manchester. The police in Manchester seized a gun and several rounds of ammunition during an operation in Mandeville on Monday. They report that about 3 p.m., a team was conducting an operation in the area when a premises was searched and one Bulgarian Markova pistol with a magazine containing 2 rounds of ammunition was found. One man was subsequently taken into custody in connection with the seizure. Crab hunters stumble on human skeleton in St. Anne. The St. Anne police are awaiting the results of DNA tests to determine whether human skeletal remains found on Monday in Discovery Bay are those of a woman who went missing in the parish last year. Personal items, including an identification card, that were found at the scene are said to belong to the woman who has been missing since last October. Reports are that sometime after 8 p.m., a group of men was hunting crabs in the Discovery Bay area when they stumbled upon the human remains in bushes. The police were alerted, and on their arrival, the remains were seen along with several items at the location. The remains were subsequently removed to the morgue. Meanwhile, family members and relatives of the missing woman are hopeful that the remains are that of their loved one who has been missing since October 19, 2019. The woman, who was employed in the Discovery Bay area, reportedly left work that night to meet with an individual regarding a job and has not been seen since. All efforts to locate her since that time have been unsuccessful. $35 million worth of ganja seized in Manchester, 4 arrested. 4 persons are in custody in connection with a multi-million-dollar drug seizure by members of the Narcotics and the Manchester Divisions in Spurtree, Manchester on Monday. It is reported that about 8:45 p.m., a joint police-military team carried out coordinated operations at 2 premises in the area. During the search, approximately 8,700 pounds of compressed ganja were seized, according to the police. The police say the estimated street value of the illicit drug is $35 million. A motor vehicle was also seized in the incident. The identities of the persons taken into custody are being withheld pending further investigations. The police are appealing to anyone with information that can assist them with the investigation to contact the Narcotics Division at 876-923-5729. Police 119 emergency number, Crime Stop at 311 or the nearest police station. Quarantine demand for St. Mary virus hotspots. Port Maria Mayor Richard Curry has urged the government to quarantine 2 St. Mary communities that recorded a total of 6 new COVID-19 cases on Sunday. Curry was particularly concerned that those who tested positive were reportedly asymptomatic, meaning they were silent carriers of the coronavirus disease. It is due to contact tracing why they were tested as opposed to having symptoms. It is frightening, the mayor exclaimed. He declined to name the communities. Of Jamaica's 473 cases, St. Mary has the 4th highest number, 15. There have been 9 fatalities nationwide and 56 recoveries. We don't know how many other persons, even that particular area, that are asymptomatic, but contact tracing would not have picked them up. So I am of the view that we're going to have a larger number of cases in the parish, the mayor said on Monday. Health officials, he said, are challenged by residents who are not being truthful about their whereabouts. Some persons flatly refused to have their temperature checked. The police had to be called in and they were asked to do so, he said. I was told that even after the temperatures were taken, people were just in clusters out on the streets walking about their business without masks, he said, of the health workers' ordeal on Sunday. The mayor said that municipal corporation has employed various means of communicating the importance of social distancing, but crowding persisted in town centers and communities. Following weekly parish disaster committee meetings, the corporation had installed posters in most public spaces, and the Social Development Corporation had deployed town criers throughout the parish. He expressed concern that cultural behaviors might be blunting the message of social distancing in towns and markets. He also said that the government ordered distance, where persons should be 6 feet apart, was near impossible in some households, with as many as 15 persons sharing close living quarters. The mayor said that a gambling house that attracted large gatherings in one of the hotspot communities was now under police scrutiny. Isolation wards have been identified in St. Mary hospitals, the mayor said, while seeking to assure that health centers were equipped to conduct the necessary checks. Police Federation wants Indicom boss to resign. The Jamaica Police Federation wants the Independent Commissioner of Investigations Indicom boss, Terrence Williams, to immediately step aside to allow for transparent actions of the oversight body. Indicom was established by an Act of Parliament in 2010 to investigate alleged misconduct by members of the security forces. Williams has been Indicom Commissioner since its inception and has said he will not renew his contract when it expires in July. But in a statement yesterday, the Police Federation, which represents cops from the rank of constable to inspector, chided Williams for what he claimed are dishonest actions by Indicom against members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF. The latest example, the Federation said, was a radio interview in which Williams acknowledged that lawmakers had agreed to amend Section 4 of the Indicom Act that would empower the oversight body to arrest and prosecute members of the JCF. The United Kingdom-based Privy Council affirmed a ruling by the Jamaica Court of Appeal that the Indicom Act, as it is now, gives the oversight body no powers, except in cases where its work was being impeded. The Federation is asking Commissioner Williams to tell the Jamaican people why he arrested and charged police officers for incident offenses when clearly he knew that this should not happen without an amendment to Section 4 of the Act the police union questioned. The Federation wants Williams to immediately step down, arguing that his actions have overshadowed the work of the Commission. Man freed of murder in beheading case sues state. Former teaching assistant Sanjay Dokali, who was last November freed of murder in the killing of 18-year-old Joyce Lynch and her mother Charmaine Rattray in Lauriston, St. Catherine, is suing the state for millions of dollars, alleging that the 8 years he spent behind bars has caused him untold suffering and joblessness. Rattray and her daughter were on the night of July 19, 2011, hacked to death, shot, then beheaded by a group of about 8 men, 5 of whom were later arrested and charged in relation to the brutal murders. 3 of the men, Adrian Campbell, Roshane Goldson, and Fabian Smith, pleaded guilty to non-capital murder and were sentenced to life in prison. Dokali and another accused, Cameron Riley, had pleaded not guilty to murder and were standing trial. Dokali walked following a no-case submission on his behalf by his attorney Anthony Williams, who contended that the prosecution had failed to produce evidence to show that there was a plan aiding and abetting and a participation on the part of Dokali in relation to the crime. Dokali, in a caution statement played into the records of the court, had said he was returning from a function in the dead of the night, heard Lynch screaming for help, and went to investigate. In the account, he said upon going into the house and entering Lynch's room, he saw 2 men, one of whom, Roshane Goldson, was busy chopping Crystal, pet name for Lynch. I said, "What's going on?" He couldn't answer because he was busy chopping Crystal. So I was standing next to him, and while he was chopping, he swung the cutlass and he chopped me on my hand. Same time I run outside and I jump over the back fence and run around the lane and up on Raya Kobe Drive, Dokali stated. He said while running away from the scene he heard 5 to 6 gunshots. Supreme Court Judge Justice Vivian Harris, in handing down the judgment, said in examining the arguments, there was no evidence presented by the prosecution that Dokali knew a murder was taking place in that house prior, and that there is no evidence he was part of the plan to murder the woman before he went into the house. It is my view, having considered the authorities in the area and the evidence of the prosecution, that there is absolutely no evidence that he planned with the individuals to commit the murders. Justice Harris said at the time in instructing the jury to return a formal verdict of not guilty on both counts of non-capital murder. In the claim filed in the Supreme Court last Friday by Dokoli's lawyer, Dokoli maintains that he has been ostracized by the community after he returned from lockup and has been unable to secure any employment since by virtue of the adverse criminal stigma of being charged for the offense. He also said he suffered from periods of anxiety, depression, mental anguish, and also from feelings of loneliness and mental disorientation as a result of being incarcerated for over 8 years. Furthermore, the former assistant teacher is said to have been physically ill on multiple occasions while incarcerated and experienced problems with his eyes, for which he received treatment on several occasions. According to the document, Dokoli has been punished twice for his heroic attempt. First, by being severely chopped on his arm, and the second by the first and second defendants, a retired superintendent of police and the state, which led to his incarceration for over 8 years. Dokoli's lawyer is arguing further that the investigating officer, being a member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, acted or purporting to act in execution of his duties unlawfully, maliciously, without reasonable and or probable cause, prosecuted the complainant by preferring charges against him, namely 2 counts of murder committed against Rattray and Lynch on or before the 20th July 2011 at 46 Berry Drive, Lauriston, in the parish of St. Catherine. According to the particulars of the claim, the false imprisonment and malicious prosecution of the complainant by the defendants caused serious loss, humiliation, injury to his reputation and integrity and character, depression, nervousness, sleepless nights, and among other things, put him to considerable expense and embarrassment. Dokoli is claiming compensation for special damages, out-of-pocket expenses of just over $3.5 million, damages for false imprisonment, damages for malicious prosecution, damages for loss of earning, aggravated damages for false imprisonment and malicious prosecution, exemplary damages for false imprisonment and malicious prosecution, as well as vindictory damages. Dokoli is said to have earned $17,000 per fortnight from his teaching assistant position. If successful, Dokoli could pocket well over $35 million, depending on the court's decision. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember, subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.